The Permian Highway pipeline under construction in the Hill Country, despite worker shutdowns during the COVID-19 pandemic. Texas's newest natural gas pipeline is moving forward right now. The pipeline will run under and through Central Texas. Tonight, KXAN investigator Jody Barr exposed a problem with parts of the pipeline. Scientists tell us could lead to a disaster.
Kinder Morgan's near 500-mile natural gas pipeline will stretch clear across Texas. Much of the pipe sections used to create this pipeline are at storage sites around the Hill Country. Court fights have led to long delays, leaving the steel pipes sitting out uncovered in storage yards. Our surveillance found pipe segments exposed to the hot Texas sun for more than a year.
We noticed it in June.
Dita Devine is part of a group known as Blanco Stop the Pipeline. It's no secret they're worried about environmental impacts and the dangers associated with pipeline accidents. There's an obvious discoloration halfway up that pipe.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it appears to be faded on the top, and
you can see that even on these.
The group points to its Facebook post showing these pipe segments sitting in this field near Blanco since at least last June. 10 months later, we went to the site and photographed pipe segments with June 2019 coating dates still stored there.
So it was through the hottest part of the summer, all of July, August, September, the hottest part in the Texas Hill Country, and still isn't in the ground, and still probably isn't going to be in the ground for a little while.
The concerns surround this turquoise coating. It's a fusion bonded epoxy, which protects the pipes from corrosion after they're buried underground. The date when the pipe was coated is stamped on the outside of each section. The problem is, this type of epoxy coating doesn't have the proper UV protection to keep it from degrading in prolonged exposure to sunlight. That's according to the National Association of Pipe Coating Applicators. That group's recommendation: these pipes should not be stored above ground longer than 6 months.
They've already been out here several months longer than they were supposed to be.
Pipeline engineers tell us natural gas lines are highly susceptible to corrosion, mainly because of carbon dioxide and other chemicals in the gas that flows through the pipe. And any degradation of the coating could lead to a rust pocket and possibly an eventual rupture. Corrosion-related incidents have happened in Texas. Federal pipeline records show in the past decade, there were 126 onshore corrosion-related gas pipeline failures across the nation. Texas was second only to Louisiana with 23. We wanted to know if Kinder Morgan is installing the pipe sections stored in these sites. Over the past few months, we've watched the Blanco yard. The second week of April, we saw workers loading pipes onto 2 trucks there. We photographed pipe with coating dates from May and June of 2019. Our investigation also uncovered Blanco isn't the only Kinder Morgan stockyard.
So what are we looking for?
There's apparently a huge stockpile of these pipeline segments somewhere in Junction. Well, the question is, could the safety of these pipes be compromised? We found another storage site just off Interstate 10, 3 hours west of Austin. Well, here is the stockpile. Let me try to get a shot of the stamping here. Let's see what this date is. March of 2019. Let's see if we could get one off of this. Some of these stampings appear to be really faded. Yeah, March of 2019 on both of those stacks. That's a year. Yep. That's a year at this point. While we were there, workers trucked in more pipe segments. There is a discernible color difference in the coating on the outside. Is that an indication of prolonged UV exposure?
Definitely. I mean, again, going back to the analogy of humans, when we're sunburnt, we can see a visible effect. When these organic-based materials are exposed to UV, they do visibly and chemically degrade, and you can see it with your own very eyes.
Dr. Nathan Phillips is an environmental science professor at Boston University. He also researches impacts of natural gas pipelines on the environment. We sent him the photos of the condition of the pipe we found.
I've seen enough problems with failures of pipeline systems to know that these situations do happen. And so when you see pictures of that chalking effect, where the epoxy is literally weathering off and chemically degrading, that's the evidence that you see it before your eyes, that this protective coating is being worn off. That's definitely a serious concern.
And using pipes that have been sitting out in the sun deteriorating for 10 months is not doing everything they can do to make it safe for us.
So just how long is too long? In this 2015 letter on an unrelated pipeline, the maker of the pipe coating said the coating would not need any special protection if stored outdoors for less than a year. But this bulletin from the Pipe Coaters Association we told you about in the report, it says the coating shouldn't be in the sun longer than 6 months. That's a big difference. But at the highest level, I asked the Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration if it has federal guidelines on this. The agency in Washington told me when it comes to UV exposure, there is no such rule. Jody Barr, KXAN investigates.
Agreed to an interview and wouldn't answer our specific questions regarding its UV exposure timelines. But the company did send us a statement saying HP is being constructed according to industry best practices and Kinder Morgan's construction specifications, which meet or exceed state and federal requirements. We engage in multiple levels of inspection of the pipeline during and after the manufacturing process. We also have a thorough installation process, which is focused on testing and ensuring the integrity of the pipeline coating prior to the pipeline being installed. Kinder Morgan says it plans to finish the Permian Highway pipeline by next spring. Opponents are still planning their next legal move to get the pipeline out of the Texas Hill Country.
Do you think the Railroad Commission could look the people of the state of Texas in the eye and say, you know what, we did a thorough job, nothing to worry about here, we've got this?
They will say that everything's fine. I want to know who at the Railroad Commission wants that sitting in their backyard, less than 500 feet from their house, and relying on an inspection of 8 pipe out of thousands of pipe.
Following a recently filed complaint, the Texas Railroad Commission, which regulates the state's oil and gas industry, inspected that pipe storage site near Blanco. What the commission did and didn't do tomorrow night at 10 as KXAN continues investigating this pipeline exposure.